Good afternoon. My name is Donna and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, which is North Alabama. You can also find us on Abundant Television, that's syndicated. That's on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. I have with me Will Anderson, who's drinking out of a pink cup. What's that?
Breast cancer awareness.
You redeemed yourself. There you go. Now,
Will is for a thinking fast on my feet there. No, this is my wife grabbed my coffee cup that no joke says the Will Anderson Show Kookum Club. An old program director came up with that, and I always thought it was kind of goofy. But she grabbed that cup today, and all that was left was her cup. And I don't think that she actually has it for that reason, but it came in handy at that moment, Donna.
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
That's what I like about you. You think fast. I mean, talk show hosts, we have to talk. We have to think really fast, don't we?
We do.
Because we're in the moment. We're in the news. I mean, anything, we could be in the war with Russia just any second.
That's so true.
World War III. I mean, literally any second.
We never know what's going to hit, and whether it's an actual news event or sometimes a caller can hit you with something that's kind of out there as well. Even if they agree with you sometimes. That's the hardest one, I think, because you don't want to say that was the kookiest thing I've heard in weeks.
That's true. That's so true. Now, you have your own show, also a podcast on netnewsnetwork.net.
Yes. A great place, netnewsnetwork.net. You're on there as well, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't believe I'm in the realm of folks like you. I mean, I'm just amazed. I'm like, I'm in this realm? Wow.
Well, you every time I turn around, this is a self-congratulatory segment here, folks. But every time I turn around, you have great guests on your show. And there are one or two of them. I can't think of one right now. So the two thinking fast moments, maybe too many for this segment, but they're I always want to interview some of those folks. Some of them I've wanted to interview for years, and I've thought I'm going to call Donna. I need to write those down, and I'm not kidding about that.
You got to get with Silk on Diamond and Silk.
I had them on my show once.
Well, I'm gonna promise you won't be able to say a whole lot. And I love their enthusiasm. I love that. I mean, all you got to do is just say, you don't even have to ask a complete sentence with them. All you have to do is say Trump and just get out of the way.
That's so true.
And they were always, and I'm going to tell you, I loved Diamond. But Silk is carrying that torch. She's still going on with it.
Yes.
She's doing
yes. That was a big shock, wasn't it? Life is precious.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And some of the remarks left from the left were just trash.
It always happens when bad things happen to conservatives. When former President Jimmy Carter passes away, for instance, I don't think anybody on our side of the aisle is going to say, that's the miserable SOB who gave us gas lines back in the 70s. He can rap, but they said that about Rush Limbaugh. They say it about Silk. They wish death on Donald Trump. I'm sure they don't say nice things about people like Newt Gingrich, for instance. It just goes with the turf of being on our side. We are the nicer crowd on our side of the aisle.
We are. We absolutely are. We're the kinder. Like when someone passes away on the left, like you just said, we don't do that. We just like, condolences. So sorry to hear it happened. We just let it go and then move on to the next, whatever we need to do, because we're busy working and actually, working, which,
But then they'll turn around and say things like, for instance, oh, come on, you can't give Hunter Biden a hard time. He's going through an addiction. That is a difficult thing. So they're asking us to really irrational, and we know why they're doing it. They're doing it so they hope that he won't be touchable, so that his father's not touchable. Well, that's becoming impossible right now. But they want us to extend to him what they never extend to us. And I'm not saying it's tit for tat. I'm just saying that shows you how hypocritical they are.
Well, they're the loving, that they love everybody. I mean, we just love everybody, but they're the biggest bullies of all. I mean, if you ever get on, I've never been bullied by anybody worse than a liberal.
I was amazed the other day when I was watching the John Durham hearings, to hear some of the Democrats talk to him and say things like, now, make no mistake about it, Mr. Durham, your reputation is still intact right now. But if you keep pursuing this kind of thing, and if you keep insisting that this stuff is true, you're not going to have a reputation anymore. Did you hear them say that to him?
Yeah, we're giving you a warning. I mean, to me, that's a threat.
It was the most, I felt like I was watching The Sopranos or something.
Is this like a threat?
But his answer was great. At one point, and he's a very great, I'd never heard him speak before these hearings. He's a very gracious man. Mm-hmm. But he said, with regard to my reputation is intact with my family, my friends, and my Heavenly Father. And so I'm fine with my reputation, sir. That was a great answer.
Yeah, I mean, he knocked it out of the park. And it's so funny when it's knocked out of the park on them, the way they look. Oh, what can I say now? What can I say? Especially Joe Biden especially does this. You can see when he's trying to figure it out, and it hasn't come through the headset yet on what to say. You really can. You really can. He's sitting there like he does this. He does this with his hands a lot. He goes.
He looks like, I've made this point before, he looks sort of like Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights. In his first interview, his hands are just kind of, wandering in and out of places, which they do with Joe Biden, even if he's, for instance, touching a female, unfortunately.
Or a child.
But you're right, he has this look on his face like back in the slow internet days when your computer would stall and the circle would be going around. You can almost see that circle in the eyes. There's no life in his eyes anymore.
Great analogy. I didn't think about that one. That is perfect. You mind if I use it sometime?
I just came up with it. You can steal it right now. And it was heard first on the Donna show, after all.
Will Anderson. He's the one who did. So I want to ask you this question. So we've got this threat going around. It's Russia. I can't believe they haven't already invaded us since Biden came in. With whatever it is he does. So he's there. There's some event coming up. Kamala Harris is like one of the weirdest people I've ever seen as a VP. She's rather odd. Have it together. I mean, she's just kind of out there. So, he briefly speaks about what happened this past weekend. But why does he have to make cracky jokes? I mean, okay, you've got something that's just serious. I mean, it's serious. I love to joke too. I love to have fun. You know that. You and I are friends. We like to, off the camera is like hilarious with me and you. But there comes a time when you've got to be a little bit somber. I mean, he doesn't know how.
I remember in 2020, some month during that campaign year, when the New York Times ran an expose on Joe Biden, the empathizer. Joe Biden will be the most empathetic president in the history of the United States. And we could use some of that coming off of that heartless jerk Donald Trump. They did say it that way almost. But the whole thing was about his ability to empathize and to
bring us together.
Yes, but more than that, to understand the moment and know how to say the right thing in a moment of grief. And just as you say, this is not a moment of grief necessarily. The moment of grief that comes to mind was serious. The Nashville shooter. Remember that one? Right after the transgender former student went in and shot up the Christian school. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden's first remarks when he came down to the podium, and the whole world was watching at that moment, and he said, "I've got some good ice cream upstairs. It's some really good ice cream." Remember that moment? if I almost looked at my production room, but nobody's in there. I almost said, "Flush Joe Biden." We do that sometimes on our show, folks. It's good it's good to be regular when you're dealing with liberals day in and day out. But you're absolutely right. He's and that goes to the serious point here is that Democrats and everybody in the media, and even some people in our party, the ones who hate Trump the most, are just pretending like there's nothing wrong with his cognitive skills. He can't even, the notion that he would ever debate anybody is laughable. he can't give a speech without. I'm sure those people are on so much Valium and Prozac. You have to handle him and deal with. He's going before the microphone again. Quick! Somebody get up there fast.
Grab him. It's like your elderly grandfather who has dementia, and everybody.
Yes, it is.
At Christmas time, or you're having some get together, and people are saying, "Now, who's going to be in charge of Dad Watch?" Okay,
I have to throw this.
I got to go to the restroom. Can you be in charge of Dad Watch just for a few minutes? I'll be right back. I promise. I mean, they have to have a team of people together who are doing that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is like a whole new team.
See, that would be such a wonderful Saturday Night Live skit, wouldn't it?
We should have thought about that before the show.
It would be a great show.
Okay, all right, let's do it. You're good at improv, and I am too. So let's go. Okay,
I'll be Biden. I'll be Biden, and you're my handler.
Okay, I'm the handler.
I'm the man here.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay, guys, this is the skit. Saturday Night Live won't do it. We'll do it. Okay.
That's right. Go ahead.
Okay, Joe, look in the microphone. Okay, you got your notes down there. Look in the microphone, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, look in the look at the screen, Joe. No, the screen, Joe. Joe, you're about to fall. Joe, look. There's Joe, be careful. Be careful. We don't want you to fall and break anything.
What time is dinner?
Joe, no, it's not dinner time. You just had breakfast an hour ago. It's only 9:00.
What time is lunch?
Joe, shut up. Joe, I'm getting irritated. Hey, this is it. I'm tired of this job. I understand that they have people on this job that quit like in 15 minutes. I've put up with you a long time. This has been 20 minutes, Joe. I'm done. I'm done. Find yourself another handler. I'm done.
Don't talk to your husband like that. I can't do it anymore.
It would be a horrible job. It would be. You couldn't pay me enough to do that. There is no way. So what's handling? Okay, so he walks up to a podium. It's obvious he's listening to somebody in a headset. You can tell it because he's doing this. This is him. Okay, I'm not exaggerating. He's doing this.
Yes, that was very good. That was very good. That was wonderful.
Okay, now I'm Joe. You be the handler. Okay, I'm about to walk up on the podium. I don't know what the crap I'm doing. Here I am.
Okay. All right, Mr. President. This is harder than I thought.
There's a child.
Refraining from laughing is the hard part.
Wait a minute. Let me kiss this kid on the mouth. No, I'll not do it.
Hold on, Mr. President. Mr. President, we have to do your cognitive test real quick. You're about to speak about what's the breaking situation in Taiwan right now. All right. So the first question is,
what's Taiwan? Did somebody say Taiwan?
No.
Was
Mr. President,
it Thai girl?
Mr. President, open up your left lapel and pull out the index card, the one that's pink. And you'll see the word
But I still
China.
got my jammies on. Donna?
You'll see the word China on there, and you'll see the word
China.
Taiwan.
Gotcha. What's this?
Never mind. Tell the press that we have to put a lid on it. There's a possible bomb threat in Washington, D.C., and we got to go. The president is going to be in an underground bunker until further notice, possibly until after the next election.
I am what? We need to do Saturday. It's Saturday Night Live. I used to love Saturday Night Live in the 70s and the 80s. Man, they were the bomb. They would make fun of everybody. You remember the one where Jimmy Carter had hemorrhoids, and so they had this little.
I don't think I saw that one.
It was good, but you got to look it up. It's on YouTube. So what happens? He's planning to go to Camp David. So they had his mother come in, and she helped pack his luggage for him to go to Camp David. He opens up his luggage, and it's just full of just tubes of Bengay. I mean, it's just so funny. This is back when
I do remember that.
Yeah, those were the days. Back when you could make fun of everybody.
I remember my dad used to say, buddy, you see President Carter carrying that duffel bag with him to the Air Force One? I do, Daddy, I would say back. He would say, there's nothing in that duffel bag, buddy. He's just doing that for show.
I believe it. We have to go into a commercial break. Can you believe this? Time flies by too fast. We'll be right back in just a minute. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Hey, we are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundant Television found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast. It's a lot of fun. netnewsnetwork.net. I have with me Will Anderson. He is a talk show host. You've been a talk show host for a long time.
About 18 years now, I think. Wow. That is a long time, isn't it?
You're old, man. But you just got started when you were like 2 years old or something. I mean, like when did you know you wanted to be a talk show host?
You want the serious answer? The joke is in the womb. But the serious answer is when I was probably in about first grade. Mm-hmm. I used to record songs on the radio on a cassette recorder, and then I would go back and play them again, and I would be the DJ. Mm-hmm. So I would say, that was the Beatles and Let It Be. That's written by the team of Lennon and McCartney. I mean, it sounds pretty, it sounds like a little kid trying to be a radio.
Voice has changed a little since then.
I still have that tape, Donna, and I'm going to play it on my show. I can't find the power cord for the cassette recorder.
Uh-huh.
Well, in the brief time that you've known me, though, you know that that's plausible. And
I've already got you figured out. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is I do the same thing. I have a sewing machine. It's like an embroidery machine. I can't find the darn plug that goes with it. I don't know where the heck it is. Uh-huh. And I haven't moved. I mean, we've been here since, 2013, so I can't blame it on that. So, I mean, lady.
Well, I think I told you my old guidance director at military school, who was a retired Southern Baptist minister, had a sign on his. He was probably, well, I won't say he was more cluttered than I am, but he was as unorganized as I am. But he had a sign on his desk that said, "If a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind, what's an empty desk a sign of?" And I loved that sign. And I told my mom and dad about it, and because they loved and revered this man. And my dad said, "You don't think that that's an excuse for you to be unorganized, do you, buddy?" I hope you just think that was a clever sign. Both, Dad, but shucks. 1 out of 2 isn't bad.
Not too bad. Not too shabby. There are things that bring us to this point in life. I'm sounding like, never mind. So there are things that bring us to this point in life, right? Circumstances that happen throughout your life, what have you. And I'm saying that because I was actually voted quietest in Who's Who.
You were actually what? I didn't hear the last part.
I know you didn't understand that. You probably don't believe it. I was actually voted quietest in 1977.
Were you really?
I'm in the library. I'm holding up a sign with this other dude. As a matter of fact, nobody knows who I am in the school. The talk is, there's somebody we went to school with who actually hosts a talk show now. And then someone will say, oh, her name was Donna Shears. And then people are just kind of like, I don't remember Donna Shears. It's like I was that quiet.
That's interesting.
Well, what happened was I went to Oxford High School. And so my dad moves us. We all moved to Geraldine, which is a much smaller town. And I guess I had all my friends in Oxford. And so when I was 14, I kind of, didn't like it. But I love the country part of it. Man, I'm going to tell you, there's no more beautiful country than here. It's beautiful.
I love the country and I love the South. And I think Alabama and Tennessee are both beautiful. That story is interesting. The only thing that I can draw from in my life that approximates that is that I apparently, and I don't know much about this, I don't remember much about this, but I was a late bloomer when it came to talking. So much so that my parents took me to some doctor and said he hadn't started talking yet, and we're worried about that. And then one day I started talking, and as my dad said, and then you've been making up for it ever since.
Do you remember what your first words were, or has anybody told you what your first words were?
Oh, I wish I did know. No, I don't. I know what my sister's first word was when she found out that she had a baby brother. That was yuck. But I don't know what my first word was.
Yeah, I was told mine was "Hi, boy." Hi,
Wow,
boy.
so cute.
And so we lived in town, and so people would back then you could actually trust your kids to sit on a front porch by themselves.
Right.
In fact, my parents were probably hoping somebody would run off with me. But anyway, they put me on the front porch. And so I have an aunt who said, it used to be so cute what you would say. And I would say, what? And she'd say, everybody, you called everybody a boy. I guess I didn't identify back then. But I would say hi, boy, to everybody. Man, woman, dog, cat, whatever. Hi, boy.
That's great.
So I guess that was the start of it.
I remember when I was a child, the blessing before every meal was, God is great, God is good. Let us thank him for our food. By his hands we all are fed. Thank you, God, for daily bread. Mm-hmm. Amen. And apparently when I first started saying that as a small child, at the end I said, thank you, God, for daddy bread. Whatever daddy bread was.
But you know what? There are so many songs from the 70s we took out of context, like Bad Moon Rising. There's a bathroom on the right. I mean, for years, I really thought that's what they said.
Yes.
There's a bathroom on the right.
Why can't they enunciate the words like Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald? And I started to say Louis Armstrong, but not always in his case.
No, not always that. Not always that. Oh, but now don't knock the 70s stuff, man. That stuff, I'm going to sound like my parents here. They've never made decent songs since the 70s.
It's so funny, but that's true. But at some point that becomes an objective truth, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And I heard my dad say, and remember, he was a lot older than most dads, so he didn't like any of my music. He called it all noise. Mm-hmm. I think that his cutoff point was about Elvis, really. But at some point, it's not music at all, by definition.
Mm-hmm. How about some of the country music you hear? The country bro, they call it now. It's not, I mean, it's kind of like country people doing rap, which to me just doesn't fit.
Country now, well, in the 90s, country music was like pop music in the 70s.
Yeah.
And now, as you say, it's just lost its identity altogether, I think. In many, not in every case, not in all. In fact, not in most cases, probably, but in the most commercially successful cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jessica Muse was from the state of Alabama, and this is when I stopped watching American Idol, okay? So she's from Slap Out, Alabama, which is apparently a good place to be from. And so Jessica, I had an interview with her, and she said, you know what? I didn't like the show. I didn't like being on it. And I said, but man, you were like number 2 or something like that. And she said, yeah, but they told me how to dress. They told me how to act. They told me I needed to dance. I don't dance.
Really?
It's like they were telling her how she needed to
be authentic.
I thought the whole idea, I thought the whole idea was you were not to be like everybody else. The whole idea is you be you, and somehow, people like you because you are being you.
Right. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting inside politics information there, Donna.
Mm-hmm. I thought so. So I brought that point out to bring this point out, and I know you've got a great answer. Okay, so do you kind of feel like we're all being led around by the nose? And what I mean by that, I'm from the South. I'm from Alabama. I'm from, the rural part of Alabama. So I remember my granddad having pigs, and pigs had this nose ring. And my granddad would always say, never let people lead you around by the nose. Think for yourself. He said this all the time. Do you feel like the majority of the United States, citizens of the United States, and maybe non-citizens too, are being led around by the nose, by a nose ring?
And they don't even know it.
Don't have a clue.
They don't even know.
It's kind of hurt sometimes, though. Don't they feel the tug?
Every now and then they do, but they think, that's my imagination. That's not really a nose ring. By the way, the next time I see somebody wearing a nose ring, I'm going to say, do you identify as a pig?
That's why I would never wear a nose. Not the fact that it looks weird, but anyway, I would be afraid my brother or somebody would grab it, or
But I'm going to ask them if they identify as a pig now, Donna.
Do that. Do
I'm
that.
going to ask them that. I was reading a story today about he's an actor, but he was in one of the movies that's out right now, one of the action movies, Marvel comic movies or something. It's not doing very well. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to know why it wasn't doing very well. And they said he'd been arrested for all sorts of things, and they were blaming it on that at first. So I thought I would go look it up. And it turns out that this person, and I had to educate my stuff on this stuff. I never keep all these words straight. This person was non-binary, which meant that this person's pronouns were not he. His pronouns were they and their. Now, the reason this is important is that I had to read the story 5 times because I hadn't gotten to that part. And I kept thinking that the writer was sloppy because it said whatever the guy's name was, Adam so-and-so, decided that they were going to instead turn out, who was they? Who was he with? And I went back and I'm trying to find out who was he with? Who was the they? I didn't know what it. So the very assault on our ability to communicate that the obsession with pronouns now is causing was unappreciated by me to its full extent until I tried to read this story. What should have taken me about 30 seconds to read probably took about 5 minutes. Just because of the pronoun misunderstanding.
Yeah, this is real. Okay, let me tell you something that was really weirding out. Okay, so I was sent, because I'm a cook. I love to cook, and I've done some cooking shows and what have you. And I still do some on this show. So I actually received an invitation to try out for a cook show.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, I think I will. But then I looked, and I saw other people who were trying out for it. I don't have a shot. I'm not going to waste my time, because there are people who don't know what sex they are. They're going to be the winners. I mean, I don't care if they can barely boil an egg. They're going to win it because of the world that we're living in the United States right now. I don't see the point in even going for it. It would be a waste of time.
It's such a dangerous place that we're in right now. That Kamala Harris is where she is only because she is a black woman. Nobody bothered to consider whether or not she was, her own party rejected her in a primary process.
She was one of the first ones let loose. We got to remember that.
But after the fact, when everybody thought it won't really matter who the vice president is, they just go to funerals and all that kind of thing. So let's choose a black woman so that we can win.
She'll cry, because she'll cry. So you need somebody who's going to be a crier going to funerals.
Right. Well, she's got to stop getting high before she'll cry. Probably she's too busy laughing to cry right now. But the serious point is, they didn't think it was going to come to her ever actually being a literal heartbeat away from the White House, which is where she is right now, which is part of why, at all costs, they're trying to put the Joe Biden story to the back of the barrel. They're even going to throw Hunter under the bus. And I predicted this a long time ago on my show. I opened it up one day about maybe a year ago. And I asked the question, what is Hunter going to do when his dad turns on him to save his own rear end? Because that day is coming. I promise you that. Criminals,
they have a code of ethics, which is not a code of ethics. They'll turn on each other.
Yeah.
I mean, they do.
I mean, this plea deal is already more than they wanted to do. And look how that's being received by rappers. You brought up rappers. Look at rappers who haven't paid their taxes, who've done time, now saying, hold on a second, what's going on? The white son of this old white guy president.
Old rich white guy, by the way.
Old rich white guy. Thank you, President She. I call him President Her, while we're on pronouns. The communist dictator of China. But I think that Joe is going to make an example out of Hunter. I think that he's going to say, son, if you don't suffer greater consequences than that, there's no way I can win re-election. You're going to have to go to jail. But this, something like this, something is going to happen. They were hoping that they could just slap him on the wrist and say, case closed. It's not working out that way. Mm-hmm. So at some point, it's now going to be the party and the media versus Joe. Mm-hmm. And when it comes down to that, Joe will turn on Hunter to save himself. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's news today on the Donna Fazil Show with Melanie.
So let me ask you a question, okay? Okay, so, I mean, something's got to happen. Okay, first of all, okay, Joe is given like every chance in the world by the media, except for me and you, of course, but every chance there is in the media. And he still has an extremely low rating. Kamala is just worse ever. No one has ever been this low before, have they? I mean,
her number, the number, I'm not making this number up, that I saw today on her was -19.
Negative. Okay.
I don't even know how you achieve that number, but she managed to do it. And I don't think it had anything to do with integrated busing and all that kind of stuff. It's -19 is her number right now.
Okay. And these two are protected by the media. Okay. So Trump has had everything that he's been indicted. I mean, it's just like a million things have happened. I mean, I'm to the point, and I know I mentioned this the last time you were on the show. I'm to the point now when I hear something, we got the smoking gun this time, I'm kind of like, next, when's the next smoking gun? I mean, yep. I'm turning into that person now. I've heard it so much. However, his ratings, he's like for the stars, Zoom. I mean, with no support from the media. How's this happening?
A large majority of Americans in polls, and I don't want to give a number because I'm not exactly sure. It's somewhere between 60 and 80, maybe higher than 80, believe, and this is in both parties and independents and everything, that President Trump is being politically targeted, number one, and a maybe not quite as large, or maybe it's inverse, but a huge majority in both cases believe that Trump is being targeted and that Biden is guilty as heck. And so when Trump says, I told you this was going to happen to me, and it did, people say, maybe he has a point. You know, that it's the whole Jonathan Karl from ABC News. Some things may be true even if Donald Trump said them. His exact line. On the other hand, when they see Joe Biden just this past weekend say, no, I didn't know anything about my son's business dealings.
Oh, please.
That contradicts what is now being reported about his son's text messages, by the way, in the New York Times and in the Washington Post. He can no longer ignore this. The president I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm like a typical United States citizen, okay? Nothing special about me. But let me tell you what people are saying, boots on the ground, me included. Okay, so let's just say that little Hunter does go to jail. Is it going to be the same kind of jail they'd slam me into? I mean, would put me under it and throw away the key. So would he really be in what you'd call a jail?
I think he's about as worried about that as is the illegal alien who was given a court date 3 years from now to show up and justify his need to be here. But I think that what we'll see is a gradual. They don't want to do anything more than they have to do to him to satisfy the public's sense of justice. Now, I don't think anybody's going to be satisfied until he's actually brought to justice. But if they can step this up one more time and bring him before Congress, that'll never happen. But they want to do that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, particularly to me, as I say, between father and son.
I totally agree with you on there. Let's go into a commercial break. We're a little bit behind, and we'll be right back in just a minute. So everybody hang in there.
At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community
We're
College.
back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. That is in North Alabama. You can also find us syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. I finally got it, Will. It took me months, but I finally mastered it. netnewsnetwork.net.
Netnewsnetwork.net. I practiced one night all night, and it took me a while.
I did. I mean, I didn't get some sleep for several nights trying to get this thing figured out.
But once you get it down, it flows off the tongue, doesn't it?
Well, sometimes I have a Joe Biden moment and it doesn't. But for the most part, it's only happened once so far. Phil's sweating that out when I said that. Phil is like, oh my God, she's not going to turn into Joe Biden, is she? No.
I had to go back and edit in my show once because I used the .com. I won't even say it now, but I used .com instead of .net.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, but it's a great place, folks. A lot of it's very town hall-esque, but it's got a lot of good local talent from all around the country, including Donna, and including me, of course. I'm just kidding.
I include you. I'm always mentioning you. When I talk about your ears have to be burning all the time. So when people say, well, who's on it? I go, my God, Will Anderson is on it. Can you believe I'm in the same realm of Will Anderson? I'm way beneath, but what I mean is I'm at least within the same realm.
Oh, you're sweet to say that, Donna. I love doing this. I'm just glad that we've.
By the way, you can send the $50 to P.O. Box.
Right.
Never mind.
Well,
don't do that.
We'll just do about. Yes, that's right. Don't give out a P.O. box.
Yeah,
you might get a lot of checks. You never know, Donna.
Okay, now we're getting close to the end of the show. We have about 11 minutes left in the segment. So I'd like to know your take on what's happening with Russia, the United States. We're going to be in World War III with this. Do you feel we're close?
Yes and no. It could happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that the effort right now is on the part of this administration to be seen as the savior of the world prior to the next election. They want the president to be seen as Winston Churchill.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, I mean, it is laughable, but I'm dead serious when I say that. I'm not kidding when I say that. So the closer you and I think that we are to World War III, then the more they hope we'll give Joe Biden credit for keeping us out of it when it doesn't happen. So I think that's I don't think the whole thing is happening just because of that. Putin wants to reconstitute the USSR. Of course, that's part of this. Mm-hmm. China wants to take attention away from what's happening in the Taiwan Strait. But ultimately, Joe Biden, who we now know has a lot of pull with the Chinese Communist Party. You know, the other day when Donald Trump was giving a speech at the Faith and Freedom event, He read out the text that Hunter wrote to the guy in the Chinese Communist Party. And the text said, I'm sitting here next to my father, and we want to know why the day's almost over and we haven't gotten this money yet. If we don't get it immediately, I'm going to humiliate you. He read the whole text in this thing, and then he paused and he said, frankly, I didn't know Hunter was that tough. but I'm just telling you, it is all about everything that's happening in the world right now is about serving Joe Biden, who is being bribed by China. And that sounds like a really cheap effort to write a Tom Clancy-like book. But that is the news in a nutshell, Donna.
Yeah, but let me give you some more news. So there's this silent majority that you don't hear of a whole lot from. And it's kind of like to use this analogy. So my granddad used to say, you know something, an old hound dog will just let you beat all over it. It's laying on the porch. You can hit it with every stick you want to, but there will be this one time he's had enough. And when he's had enough, hell hath no fury.
I love that.
Like that's the silent majority. We're just pretty much well done.
I think so. I think we're very done. I think whatever group that really does exist that was in the middle, that vague middle, that said, let's just give Joe Biden a chance. He seems benign. That is the one word to characterize what those people, to the extent that they're real, thought he was: benign. And he's proven to be just the opposite of that. And I think that the silent majority is now composed of conservative Republicans, Republicans of all stripes, but independents and a majority of Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Ronald Reagan 1984 coalition in which he won 49 states.
But we're quieter about it. So because we're quieter, they think they've won. They think, well, we're not hearing anything from the multitudes out there. They're a bunch of morons anyway. We're not hearing anything from them. We don't care whether we get their vote or not. I think Trump knows which way you need to swing the bat.
Yes. He, speaking of the Faith and Freedom event, you might have seen Chris Christie was there, and he started going after Donald Trump.
Yeah,
and he got booed for doing so. And he said, you could boo me all night long. And when Trump was there the next night, he started speaking and he started laying out point by point what he had done in his administration. Mm-hmm. And the applause got uproarious and they started saying USA or we want you, whatever they were saying. And he said, I have to ask this question. He turned to Ralph Reed and Mike Huckabee over there. He said, I have to ask you this question. Has anybody else gotten a reception like that? And everybody applauded and laughed when he said that. And he said, heck, I heard somebody last night get booed off the stage. He didn't mention his name and he didn't say why he got booed off the stage. But the silent majority is behind Donald Trump, which is why the folks on MSNBC, despite the fact that he has not been in office for 3 years, and despite the fact that at this moment in time, we've said all we can say about him until the next thing happens with him, and Joe Biden should be all we're talking about in the news. They go after him constantly because they are afraid of him. Uh-huh. It doesn't do for them to say, fine, you want to nominate him? He can't win. Well, if they thought he couldn't win, they would want us to nominate him.
That's my point. Okay, so take this. Okay, anytime your competitor in business goes against you,
yes.
If they didn't feel threatened, they wouldn't be going after you, right?
Correct.
They would just leave you alone.
Principle.
Mm-hmm.
Same exact principle. And I think that I was talking to a friend of mine. I don't know if I mentioned it's been a couple of weeks, but this was her father is my age and she's young enough to be my daughter. And she said, I love Trump because he reminds me of my dad. My dad is no BS. He tells it like it is. And so I know where I stand with him. And that's how I feel when Trump speaks. I know where we stand in the world. Mm-hmm. And I think so many people who would never admit that in public for fear of being persecuted for doing so feel exactly that way, Donna. That's the silent majority about whom you speak.
Well, a few years ago, a business person would walk up to me and they would say things like, I know you're a conservative and you're a Trump, and all this kind of stuff. And they would almost whisper. They would say things, and I am too. I mean, they would say it kind of like that. And you'd be like, why are you so wishy-washy about it? But now those same people are beginning to be like, you know what? I like Trump. I think I do. You're seeing a different side of people than you saw a few years ago. I think it's because they finally had enough. They see
I think so too.
They can't pay bills. They're afraid they're going to lose their homes. They're afraid they're going to be taxed to death. We got to be taxed to death to be able to pay for all this stupid stuff. All the things all the government spending, somebody's got to pay for it. And guess what? Who it is? It's us folks who are working.
It's not Hunter Biden, apparently.
No, he can't even. Okay, this is what blew my ever-living mind. Okay, so they're talking about what a close family they are. The Bidens are really close and all this. Well, he has a kid somewhere that he won't even admit he has. And this is another thing. Joe Biden talks about all of his grandkids. He doesn't mention this grandkid.
No.
How are you going to feel if you're that grandkid?
Another reason why most Americans don't like Joe Biden. That is so indecent is not sufficient. Immoral is closer. Unheard of, really.
And they have all the money in the world. They have all the money in the world. So why can't you support this kid?
But Hunter takes a private plane to Arkansas to argue that he's too poor to pay for the child.
And hires the most expensive attorney he can find.
Once again, flush him in production. We don't have that feature, Donna. Don't worry.
We got to get it. I'll get it. I promise. I'll put it on my stream deck. Flush.
There we go. I think two words that characterize the phenomenon that's going to save the nation, two among many, are common sense. Most Americans have a great deal of common sense. They see that in Donald Trump. They see that to the extent that he has ever said anything that is inappropriate, that's kind of way beside the point right now. Mm-hmm. As World War III looms and all the things that you so accurately and thoroughly adumbrated there face us, nobody cares.
I got to tell you this. This is a good one. Actually, one of my friends who's not a liberal, okay, they own a business. They just didn't want to have any response, no business. We're not going to talk politics, religion. We're not going to, when I'm on your show, we're just going to talk about my business. And that's just going to be it, okay? And I'm like, okay. But you realize everything I say winds up being politics. I mean, everything. I can say fingernail polish. I will make a political statement out of it somehow. I'll get into it. I'll be able to do it. So, but I was good. I was actually good. I was.
That should be our next skit should be like fingernail polish, and then I have to make a political statement about it.
You and I would be really good at that. I mean, like off the top of our heads, we don't have to practice for this at all. But this is what she said. She said, you know what? I think I need to be more bold because my kids are going to think I'm a raving idiot if I don't. And I said, well, I've already told my son on my tombstone, I want you to put two things on there, that I did not vote for Biden and I did not vote for Obama. I want you to put that because I don't want future generations of my great grandchildren, all of those thinking I was a stupid person who voted for either one of those.
and we might, I would have added, and I wouldn't have voted for Jimmy Carter. I wasn't old enough back then.
I wasn't old enough. I would not have. I would not have. Okay, we're going to have to call it a day. Thank you, Will, so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Donna. It's a pleasure, as always.
It always is. I love having you on the show. And thank you for watching. I know you could be doing anything else. And share this. We would love you to do that because Will already has all the people in the world, but I need more watchers and more listeners. So if you don't mind sharing this, please do it. Thanks, Will, for being on the show.
Talk to you soon, Donna.
Absolutely. See you later. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and that's in North Alabama, and then worldwide syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget that podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. Oh, wow, Victoria, I finally got it. It took a lot of practice. I stayed up all night one night just to get that website right.
Well, you know what hasn't clicked yet? If you realize we are NNN, but if you think about what's dying is CNN, which was cable news network. We are internet news network.
Then what's the deal?
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's like, I can't remember. And I'm like, because it hasn't clicked yet. Everybody's cable. Cable is out. Internet, what we're doing is it.
Anymore. We don't even have cable. I mean, we do everything we do is, and that's in Alabama, for goodness sakes. I would think everything else would be all over it. I have Victoria Lee Scott with me right now. Victoria is a business owner, woman business owner, owns her own salon, been in several different businesses all throughout her lifetime. And she is also with Net News Network. Now, what is your position there?
I'm the president. In charge of business. Actually, I've gone from business development into the president, which is in charge of daily operations.
Well, that's a handful right there.
I know.
So what are some of the responsibilities? And I know that internet we have an internet radio station. And right. I can't see buying a tower. I think that's total nonsense. Not when you can do everything online.
Right, and that's what Net News is. Net News has created a platform. Now, this platform we've been building since 2009. When everything started changing, I just had a real ding-ding in my life. That's something, the future, Obama, it wasn't sitting right. Plus, as a small business owner, through the Obama administration, I was the one that caught a beating. I mean, I was tax fined, this and that, and rules, regulations. It was crazy. So, and actually how Net News started is the founder was actually they started the Tea Party Patriots, if you guys remember the Tea Party Patriots.
I was part of it.
Okay. Now, do you remember how fun the media made of the Tea Party Patriots?
Yeah.
And totally discredit them and just laughed at the whole organization, which was very wrong. So what happened is the original founders of the Tea Party Patriots was also Mark Meckler. Mark Meckler today runs the Convention of States, but he was actually the originator. When we were laughed at in Washington in 2009, we went home and Hugh, my founder, said he was going to build a news media company outside of what mainstream media was doing. Did we know that it would happen as it did? But something we must have. So we went home and built Net News, and Mark Meckler went home that day and he built the Parler app. And remember, the government took down his Parler app. So we've been in this for a long time with the original founding people to wake up this country, to give what they were feeding in cable news and CNN was just not happening. It just wasn't right. And I saw something coming. So I wound up jumping in with both feet into Net News Network. And I remember sitting here with nobody going, is this thing on? Is anybody listening to me? And I would just keep doing shows and keep keep reaching out to people. And I did very well. I've had John Moody, the vice president of Fox, has been on many times on my show with his books. Steve Moore, Trump's economic advisor. I've had David Sheehan, Trump's lawyer. So I was able to, for some reason, in building this company, a beautiful path was opened up for me to follow. And the path is there are people like you and I. There are people that have pride in our country, have raised our families, have honored our mother and fathers. And now all of that just seems in a very short period of time, it's dissolving. It's, you keep, that whole saying where they say divide and conquer. Boy, does that make sense now. So if you remember way back when you and I were a little bit younger, they were pushing gay rights. Now, As far as I'm concerned, nobody asks me what I do behind my closed doors, and I don't care what anybody else does behind theirs. We all have to answer to who we have to answer for. But I will be darned if you're going to shove it down my throat. Okay, and that's where I take a stand, and that's what I saw coming. Do what you want to do. I'm in an industry. I own a hair salon for 29 years. If anybody's been around drama, I have, okay? Or really, from New York to California in hair salons.
You are an underpaid psychiatrist.
100%. I agree. Not even that. I'm twice as underpaid because in the evenings I was a bartender.
There you go. You are very underpaid.
So, so what happened is with Net News, I just decided to focus on the people that needed to be heard, that to topics that needed to be talked about. And I was with my other half, Lawrence, for 23 years and made sure he was a published author before he passed away. We wrote a book in 2009 called Wake Up America and Face the Dragon, which is a mystical look at the moral side of politics.
Now, where can that book be found? Because I want it.
Oh, I don't know if it's still in Emma, but if you give me your address, if anybody does, I'll send you a copy. All right? And just so you know, forgive my body, but here's the book.
Okay, I'd like to have that.
So that's the book. I have a copy. Just give me an address, and this afternoon I'll send it out to you.
Sounds
and
great.
Then Lawrence is here. Lawrence looked just like, where's the book? Lawrence looked just like Ralph Lauren. If I could, there he is.
Okay.
But he looked just like Ralph Lauren did. And he was an incredible. All the books that you see up here was Low, and that was all what was starting to happen in 2009 with the Obama administration, because it was the first time really that we, the American people, started questioning the administration that was changing.
And you're not supposed to question. You're supposed to just do what they say.
Right. But you want to know what I find most frustrating? How many times did President Obama stand in front of the American people and use the phrase, we're going to transform, right? Remember that word, the transformation, the fundamental transformation of America was the phrase. And I remember banging.
And remember this, every time any sentence he ever spoke was, we always heard about what an eloquent speaker he was.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, right here in Alabama, even you got bad grades if between sentences you said,
yes.
We would count the ahs. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had
no. I get it, but there was just something that the way he was presented. I'll never forget the first time as a Chicago, as an Illinois senator. I will never forget the first time he walked on stage, and I gasped, and Lawrence looked at me, and I went, "No, this isn't good. This isn't good. What's coming isn't good." And I knew it back then. And when he kept saying the fundamental transformation of America, I remember banging on my radio show going, will somebody please ask him, what does fundamental transformation mean? Why? Because they couldn't ask these questions. And look what we even see today.
Well, you remember Joe the plumber.
Yes.
Simple question. What happened? He lost everything he had.
Everything. And that's the problem. The problem is if you don't go in lockstep and fall in line, they'll destroy you.
They use him for an example.
100%.
He set the tone.
But now look at what they did with January 6th. We've got people still, and then you're going to give that son of the P, which is son of the president. So I didn't say it's son of the P. And you're going to give him a slap on the wrist. And we have good Americans that were coerced and pushed into that Capitol, and today are sitting behind bars with literally no trial,
no way out.
Mm-mm. This is heartbreaking. And instead, we keep shoving these ridiculous stories, so we push everything behind. Now, all of a sudden, everybody wants to focus on aliens. Because if you focus on aliens and a billionaire in a submarine who shouldn't have been doing that to begin with, then we're taking the focus on it off of everything that we should really be focusing on.
I've got a hypothesis about that.
What's that?
Now, in the Bible, we read in Revelations, that we'll be taken up in the clouds. there has to be an explanation for that. And I think that's why you're hearing all of the stuff about aliens. I think the time is really near.
And I think the time is so near that I think when the rapture does come down in my world, sorry, I'm a child of God and I am not ashamed of it. Bottom line. And I think when the rapture happens, it's going to be perfect for evil to say, you see, we got rid of those bad Christians. We got rid of them. We can do what we want now.
The spaceship came up and took the evil ones.
Took them all. All those Christians are gone. We can do whatever we want now. Mm-hmm. And that's just where they want them to be. And as you know, as well as I know in Revelations, is enjoy the 7 years because it's gone out. Because y'all got 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I really think time is important. Now, I know that God doesn't go by time. We do here on earth. But I think there's significance to time. I think when he says 7 years, I think he really means 7 years.
Oh, yeah, I do. I mean, there are things, in scripture, but that's the best thing. And, I'm in college finishing up now. And that's what I went back to do. I went back to interpret the Bible. Mm-hmm. I'm a theology major and I interpret it. And what I'm learning is that you take the Old Testament and the New Testament, whatever they're saying still pertains to today. I mean, that's how wonderful this book is, but it does give us insights. And as soon as, this is built and this is in line, it is amazing in Revelation how much has lined up already. It really has.
And it's like a snowball effect. I mean, it's just like super fast. Something, I used to work in GTE corporate. And this is back when nobody had cell phones. This was in the 80s, the 1980s. So back then it was called Contel Cellular. Then it turned into Cellular One. Then they were bought out by GTE and the Verizon. So it's really went up, being bought out several times. But the headquarters was in Nashville, Tennessee. And so we were in Nashville and they had us set up with partners. So I had this young guy sitting by me, and so we were being told about the SIM cards. Now this is back when we called them the brick phones. You remember those? They were huge.
Yes.
And they were terrible. Yes. It's like you could kill somebody. I mean, it was like a double fold. Somebody coming at you, call 911 first, then hit them over the head.
Hit them with the phone. It's like a brick.
I used to laugh and tell my people, and I was always hoping somebody wouldn't do that and then drag me into a murder case.
Right.
But anyway, I was sitting by this little guy, and they were talking about the SIM cards, the little chips that are inside the phones that we all use now.
Yeah.
And so I just looked over at the guy because I've studied this for a really long time. And I looked over at this little guy and I said, young guy, and I said, that sounds like the mark of the beast. And he started doing this. He looked at me and went, and started moving. He thought I was a psycho.
Right.
Because I said that. I mean,
100%. I mean, it is amazing to me that how many of it's one of my little things. Well, I'll say, I'm a Christian. Are you a Christian? And they'll say, yes, I am. And my next question is, when was the last time you read the Bible? I get answers like, oh, I don't read the Bible. Well, then you're not a very good Christian. Okay? I don't go to church. I don't, well, how could you? Half measures avail us nothing. But in there, he gives us promises and he tells us what he requires of us. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, I was a child of this world. I started out on the wrong side of the tracks, very young, doing very wrong things. But yet there was always something inside of me. And I did everything to get away from it. And then years later, as I was in my bay window here, and I was reading my Bible as I was, and I looked up and I'm like, Father, why don't I have a church family? Why am I always here alone in my Bible? And you know what he said to me? He said, because I did not want the world to corrupt you. Mm-hmm. And he made me find and understand him by reading word for word. I remember sitting in Numbers going, I don't know. And he go, read. And I'm, okay. But
I'm his problem child too. I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah. But there was always that little twinge, like, you're rocking the boat, Victoria. But the problem with me is no matter what I did wrong, I always got caught.
Me too. I'd rather pay I'd rather
Oh,
be on Earth than hereafter. So now we're going to have to go into a commercial break. But before we go, I wanted to mention this. If you are trying to grow a business and you don't know where to start, because we have such a crazy mixed up world, it's just nuts. If you'll do a study on the book of Proverbs, the answer is there.
yes.
Every problem you've got in business or personal life is there. And just ask for wisdom. And there is a website, and they will send you an email every day just as a reminder, because I know how it is to get caught up in the morning. You know, you get crazy busy. There's a website called letgodbetrue.com. Every day is a different verse with a commentary. And so, in 9 times out of 10, whatever I'm thinking about the night before, I need help with this, I'm too dumb to get it, I get that particular email to take care of it the next day. So
he tells us, seek and you will find, and knock and it will be open to you. But if you stand at the door and never ring the bell, you ain't going anywhere.
Easy. It's easy.
Ring the bell.
Let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a minute.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for 2 or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community
Good
College.
afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IAC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's in North Alabama. You can also find us syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, and also the podcast, NetNewsNetwork.net. Victoria has this big focus on Net News Network. Of course, you're the big team right there, and it's a great focus. I can't believe I am actually part of this network because I go back and I listen to the podcast, and it's amazing. It's like I finally get to be around people who think like I do.
Isn't that great? That's like, when we started out, that was a very big part of giving the small voice a platform. I was so tired of being shut out of everything. I mean, I'm here in Long Beach, California, and when I have people telling me, you can come to our party, but leave your rhetoric at home, I was like, I have my own party. Thank you very much. I will not be attending. It's like there is so much that people have been diverted with instant gratification that it's very few of us take the time to sit and want to educate others and help another. And finally, Net News is a place where we've added 11 new channels. I mean, the guys are talking some incredible topics: fair tax, your show. We've got Justin and Jamie out of North Georgia. We've got Vasilio Stamiris doing journals out of Chicago. We got John Washington up in Seattle doing headline news. I'm here in California, and we've got Andrew Bernstein in Boca Raton, Florida. So from the time I started as just one little girl with the only station on this channel, the only channel on Net News for years, it is so nice now to see that others have stepped up with the same convictions, with the same respect for our country, to get on and to take a stand and to voice that, and to have guests come on to add to it. And it's the first time that I'm seeing, we are a podcasting network, and we've all come together, giving people a different point of view. And it's like because we keep getting handed the same garbage that so many have stopped listening. And that's why we have to be different, because we need to hear with new ears.
I need to pose something to you. They call it the silent majority, and I'm part of that clan. And there's more than you know.
Right.
It's just that they're not as loud. Okay. All right. So I grew up. I'm the oldest of the family, so I have a brother who's a year younger than I am. He was a little bit louder than I was, growing up. So generally, he got the extra cookie because he was loud and wouldn't shut up. Now he's a conservative, so I'm not saying he's a liberal. I'd have to shoot him if he was. But anyway, so I'm making that point because I didn't speak up so much. I didn't get that extra cookie. However, I was more powerful in what I said. And I think that's what we're seeing now. I think the silent majority is fed up. They're tired of kids and grandkids going to grammar school with people who don't know whether they're a man or a woman reading books to them. I'm fed up with that. There's a huge, Ann Eubank.
Yes.
Alabama.
Yes. We talked about take back our school boards, her and I.
Oh my God. So I was talking with her. I said, Ann, is this my imagination? Or are you seeing more kids being taken out of the public schools, going into Christian schools, and maybe even being taught at home, homeschooling? She said, oh my God. She said, it is just exploding with the people taking their kids out of regular public schools. That's for a reason.
It is exploding so much so. I do the media for Calvary Church on the Harbor here in Huntington Beach. So much so that during COVID, we grew threefold and had to move locations to a bigger, and now we're a freestanding building on a harbor. I mean, it's gorgeous. The Lord is so blessed. But my point is that we actually got together, and my church has what's called Harbor Prep. We do homeschool school ministry for kindergarten through 12th grade. And it has exploded. It has exploded with parents taken from the school system and then taking the schoolwork and then bringing it to Harbor Prep to kind of filter out and change the thought process and give them a different side. So if they're being taught this, we have a position to actually say there's another side to this. Mm-hmm. And that's what my church has chose to do, which is, if you don't give people a choice, then they just listen to what's being fed to them. The power of choice. And that's where, I worry about instant gratification. There is so much instant gratification that we no longer ponder, or what Christ taught us to do was to chew the cud, to think things over, to ponder. That's a big piece of children growing up today that do not have that skill set. We've avoided that, and we've just moved them from here to here to here to here to here. And from the time they're born, I own a hair salon. I sat here with 4 women waiting for their hair appointment, and they came in with a baby and a carryall, right? So that baby has to be young if it's in that car seat carryall. These women start talking, and all they do is take their phone, program it, and hand it to this child. This child had to be about 5-6 months old, if that. And every time, and they went back to their conversation, ignoring this child. And every time the child, which they would just change the channel and just give it back to the child. And I sat there observing this and saying, this is a big part of our problem. There is no interaction with, you are handing that child a cell phone or a whatever the next one up, an iPad. But I'm just floored when I'm watching. Their attitude was they never missed a beat in their conversation. And every time the child would grunt because it wasn't even able to use words, they would just push it to the next video, slap it to the child. The child would sit there.
No communication. Victoria, we've got to call it a day. Can you believe 30 minutes just went like that?
Serious?
But you're going to come back for another segment, right?
I would absolutely love it.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Victoria, for being on the show today. And thank you for watching. I know you could be doing anything else, but you're watching this, and we definitely appreciate that. Now, remember, with the television station, netnewsnetwork.net, also all the social media sites, Victoria, until they kick me off of some of them. But I wear it as a badge of honor. Thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Good afternoon. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. Thank you so much for watching on Channel 182, Charter Communications. That's in North Alabama and syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. I'm so excited about this podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. Victoria Lee is with me right now, Victoria Lee Scott. And Victoria, I was searching for something like this because... And I really like the truthfulness. I like the candor. And I don't consider, if you tell me the truth, it's not rude to me. It's because you love me enough to tell me the truth. And I'm one of those, I might be a little hard-headed. Sometimes you got to shake me to get it. You know what I mean? Sure. And I appreciate that. So Victoria, tell us again, what do you do at Net News Network?
The whole idea for Net News Network is to bring like-minded people together. I have watched how evil has festered so fast and to so many that as I was trying to watch, even watching just news and catching up on, every night, you watch the news at the night, and it just seemed that I was getting pieces of things and somebody's opinion of things. And then I started doing my own research and realizing that we are in the wrong direction. And I've known this because Lawrence and I, like I said in the last segment that I had done with you, Lawrence was a very, he died in 2015 and his book was completed and on Amazon in 2013. But from 2008 to 2013, he did nothing but write our country's political truth. And it is amazing. And I'll give you another story, which is really interesting. After Lawrence passed, it was 4 days before our daughter's 18th birthday. And I had at the Yacht Club, I had a big party for her 18th birthday planned. So I've always thrown a lot of parties in my salon, and Lawrence knew, leave Victoria alone party week, because I'm planning. So he passes away, and then that was on a Friday, and then I had Saturday, and then Sunday was her party. Monday I took her to school, and then I came home and I sat on the couch, and the next thing I know, whoosh, there's Lawrence, and I feel him, and he's laughing, and I'm like, why is he laughing? Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing at me? And then he's like, think, Victoria, and I don't care what anybody thinks. Spirit, there is something that God has given me in my intuitive sense, in my spirit, that allows me to understand what's going on around me. All right. So he's there and he's like, think, Victoria. And then I turn around and I'm like, of course, it was party week. I would have never have given him my attention. And he knew that. He knew he would get my attention party week, even if he passed. I put it on hold. I made sure her 18th birthday was fabulous. But I don't know how long it took. But in our house here, there are 4 statues. One is right behind me up here, which is the thinker. And I went and he said, all right. And he led me around, which I don't know how long it took. And I stood there and I'm looking at the statue and he said, who is this? And I said, who am I? He said. And I said, the thinker, the smartest man I ever knew. Then from there, I moved to the second statue, which is over... The second one was over here. And the second one is an Italian violin player. And he said, this is my love and romance for you. Then over here, there's one right behind me. And she's a sculpture about this big. And he said, stand like her. So I crossed my legs and I stood there. And he said, who are you? I said, I am the good woman that stood behind the thinking man. I moved to the last statue, which is up there. They're all about this big. And he said, stand like her. And she's a ballerina. Hands on the hips, foot went in position, head was turned. And he's like, do you feel me? And I'm like, yes. He's like, do you feel me? I'm like, yes. I go over to his library and he's got books galore, like you behind you. I go over and I grab the most beat up, old, like 1970 loose leaf. And I take it and I pull it out. And I'm looking up and I'm going, what are you going to have me do now, Lawrence? I open up the loose leaf. Donna, it's his completed second book.
Oh, wow.
I would have never When I got to, I would have never, because Lawrence did everything in triplicate. I would have never, he led me to that. And this one is called The Knight to the Dragon. And it's The Knight, Knight, 2. And I kept saying to him, oh, do you want TWO? Do you want 2? Because I did all the editing for the books. But we spoke of the title. And he said, no, TOO, the dragon. And that's when I started getting what the second book. The second book is the knight in shining armor, the good guy, who's also the dragon, the bad guy. Mm-hmm. So it's the knight 2 also, because the other word for 2, TOO, is also.
Also. Mm-hmm.
So it's the knight also the dragon. Mm-hmm. And it explains so much of what you and I and what the world is witnessing right now. He knew, he foretold so much that, you know, that him and I, radio started for me with the book. And we had a channel on Blog Talk Radio, and him and I would sit right here side by side and do, and it intrigued me because what he was bringing to the table wasn't what they were talking about. And the more he kept giving me these new ideas, the more I felt like, feed me more. Wait a minute. What's your thought process? Because he would read so much and absorb so much on the economy, on Milton Fried. He did. I mean, he would sit for hours and hours. I've got more books with highlighted and lines and notebooks and notes. He was incredible. And then when we put the book together, it was finally that I could understand what happened. As I read it now, I could see from 2008 until where and the condition that this country is in right now, just how much of a warning he was shouting out. And he was trying to protect this country. Lawrence loved America. He was one of the few Americans that served in the Navy and in the Army. He was Special Forces, and he spent quite a lot of time in Vietnam. And he was a man that understood that what they were saying, what the politicians were saying, was wrong. And he was one of the first to voice that it was wrong. And let
me ask you a question about the military. Do you
Sure.
think the military respects our current resident president as much as the media says they do?
Absolutely not. Have you seen, I am sorry, but you know what? To each his own. But to sit here and watch grown men wearing makeup and dresses that are admirals in our military, and a way that they are programming these young people into the military is heartbreaking. And you know what? There is a part of me that knows that Lawrence was taken from this world while he still believed and was able to write this country's political truth. And it could bring it right now. It just hit me. But he did. He fought very hard and to write and to make sure that his point and what he was saying gave people, food for their thoughts, something for them to say, oh, well, maybe what they're saying on Fox really isn't the right thing. And maybe what CNN and MSNBC, maybe there is another way to look at this. And that's what he wanted. He wanted to change that. And especially, I think he would be heartbroken with the military today. He had so much respect for this country that I think he would be, I don't know how he would be watching the way that, what's going on with our military and watching Millie and all of them stand up there and their woke agenda and everything else that they're doing. I mean, this is absurd. This is absurd to me, and I also told a young person at one point, I said, you know what, you guys should be really thankful because there has been no better point in all of history that somebody can be who they want to be because that's who they want to be. In this, you want to put on a dress, go put on a dress. They might laugh at you, but you can do it. Go put on lipstick, go makeup, or whatever you want to do. But there has been no better point in history where somebody can be themselves as there is today. But I will not allow my beliefs, my morals, my ethical standards to be pushed aside or to be made fun of or to be shut down because I am not in agreement. And that's the whole thing, what we were talking about earlier, this divide and conquer. When you were younger, it was gay rights. Okay, America finally swallowed it. Okay, we swallowed everything you shoved down our throats. Good, now we'll divide and conquer more. Now let's bring trans into it and do the same thing over again. So if we would be fools to not recognize how they are deteriorating this country through our young people. It's sad.
Let's go into a commercial break because I want to ask you about something a little deeper when we come back in. Okay, let's go to a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a minute. Everybody hang tight, okay?
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to limonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Limon's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Limon's Mexican Restaurant.
We're back. Good afternoon. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio. Got another host right here. Her name is Victoria Lee Scott. Victoria, thank you so much for being back with us today. It's always enlightening, but I'll have to tell you something better is sometimes I have these thoughts about what's going on, and I feel like I'm by myself. Right. I'm like, I'm not that brilliant. I'm not that, but I claim to have common sense. What's happened to all the common sense in the world?
Well, I think common sense, in order to have good common sense, you have to have a good thought process. And if we're not developing our own thought process, if we are just taking bits and pieces off TikTok, and first of all, that TikTok should be gone. All right? Yeah. Done, as far as I'm concerned. But as long as we are grabbing bits and pieces, what it does is it doesn't allow us to form a position. And that's where we're losing it. So somebody can jump into a conversation here, or they can jump in there with their tidbit, but they haven't allowed it to become their thought process where you and I have done this. That's why we can throw up different topics and we can discuss it. For the simple fact is because we have given thoughts to these issues and how they pertain to us, our children, our environment, and the people in our world. And that's the difference.
Now, this is the deep question I wanted to ask you, and you're going to want to talk the rest of the show just about this one topic, and that's ambition.
Yes.
Okay, I was a runner in school. I did not finish first place.
Right.
One year I finished second, another year was third place. I did not get the first place. I did not get the first place trophy. Okay, so you know what my parents said? Well, then I guess you'll have to practice more. There was none of this giving away trophies to everybody. Okay. So that made me more ambitious. That made me more ambitious about everything I do in life. Is there anything wrong with that?
No, there isn't. And here is something I want to, you just triggered a thought. There are all pictures up here of me. I'm a competitive bodybuilder. Won many trophies, gold medals, silver medals. The last competition that I'm looking at up here, it's up here on my wall. When I went back to my salon, because my salon is Sunset Sports Salon. I got surfboards, bodybuilding, all that to inspire. That's what my salon is meant to inspire. All right. People come in and they're like, wow. And everything has a purpose or a story that's on the walls. And it's a beach. I'm a beach girl. And I came home with 2 silver medals. And instead of my client saying to me, wow, good job. Instead, he said, well, why didn't you get the gold? And I was so taken back by that. Like, it didn't matter. I said, first of all, let me explain something to you. I didn't care if they gave me nothing. I already won getting up there in a bikini. I was somebody who hated to be judged. And here I found myself at, I'm not even going to say, 50 in a bikini on a stage welcoming people to judge me. Are you kidding me? And I looked at him and I said, are you serious? I said, I already won. You couldn't give me a medal or a trophy big enough for the feeling that I had just being who I am, walking on that stage. But it's that thinking that if you don't do a job and you don't make a certain amount of money, then what you do is irrelevant or doesn't hold that high of a standard. I don't think like that. Mm-hmm. My clients look at me and I'm serious. I do what I do because I love doing it. And I don't charge my people when they look at me, when I give them their price, their jaw drops. But they've been my clients for 25 years. And that's what I've done, where I could sit here and charge you double or triple the amount for what I just did on your hair. And the next time you need your hair done, you're going to go someplace else.
You'll shop. You'll go somewhere else.
You'll go someplace else. So what I do is I give you great hair. And then if you go someplace else, I can't tell you how many people have stood in my door with tears in their eyes, apologizing to me. Can I come back? And my point is that I fill them. Even my client today, brand new, she goes, oh my gosh, you are so good at what you do. And I said, I love what I do. 29 years in this salon, not counting the years, from the time I walked into my first salon, the cutest fireman in town. There was always the beauty parlor and barbershop separate, right? So Georgie Fellis, the cutest bachelor fireman, I'll never forget my Georgie. He opened up the first unisex hair salon. And I walk in there and I went, what are you doing here? And I fell in love. I fell in love with what I do. And as far as ambition goes, ambition, I believe the reason why I'm able to accomplish all that I do is because I have God in my heart and know that I am loved by the Lord. But he has always given me, because of what I wasn't given in this world, I truly believe there were other ways that I have been blessed, and I wanted to find those blessings. And what I came to realize is that ambition to me comes from having hope. You see, he has always given me the hope
nail right on the head
of the future. So therefore, I have always been able to have ambition because I believe in the hope that he's put in me that I can do what I wanted to do. And if we don't have hope, then I don't see ambition being a part of that. So what we're having and what we're seeing is we're really not seeing that ambition, because that individualism is being generated in the wrong way. We don't need your individualism in your new skirt and your pretty lipstick. We need your individualism as far as what is inside of you and what are you bringing to the table. That's where ambition, I think, comes from hope. And hope comes from the heart. And that's something that, there is either, I'm learning, and it's very hard because I've been laughed at so much. Even as a child, I would go, Donna, I would go into every synagogue when it was closed, every church. I was trying to find, where are you? Where are you? I read books on Islam. I've done everything to try to find. But it wasn't until I had reached my lowest point, and as I was being put in a position, in a place that a girl like me doesn't belong, but I wound up there. It was my greatest fear, and there I wound up. But on my way to that dark, dirty cell, such as where Paul was, the Lord spoke to me, and he said to me, have faith, Victoria. And here I am surrendering, okay? Because it wasn't that I did anything bad. It was that I was very good and I did a lot of stupid things until my past caught up in me. And one judge went, you don't learn. And I was like, and as I stood in front of Judge John Kerry, before I was in that paddy wagon there, and he said to me, do you have anything to say on your own behalf? And I remember turning to Father and saying, I'm yours. I don't know. He gave me the words. When I finished, the bailiff came up behind me and he leaned into me and he said, you don't know this yet, but you just saved your own life.
Oh, powerful.
And then I am in going away, and I hear the Lord say, have faith, Victoria. And I screamed out, what is faith? And he said to me, F-A-I-T-H. Feelings arriving inside the heart. And to this day, I have never picked up another drink in 33 years, and I have never turned around and looked back. I have used my past as my greatest asset. And unless we come to terms and accept the good, the bad, and the ugly within ourselves, we are never going to find true ambition as to what our purpose is and why we were put here at this particular time in life.
See, if you feel like you've lost hope let's say you're a young person right now,
Yeah.
and all you've heard is this nonsense that's being spouted out through, your school life, and then you have parents who don't care. They're going to throw a iPad in your hand instead of looking out after you like you care as a parent. So we've got a little bit over 3 minutes left in this segment. Talk to young folks right now, because they need to hear this, okay? Because they're not hearing it at home. They're not hearing it at school. Most certainly not on the television set, and most certainly not by the government. There is
And that's it. And it all starts within ourselves. There were times when I had to find that hope and that ambition, and I didn't know where it was, and I didn't think it was even for me. The life I live today, I have a daughter named Justin Angel. The Lord has done this, but the only way that I was able to do it and to begin, when I felt I didn't know where to turn, and there was too many voices and none of it made sense to me, all I did, Donna, was put my arms around myself and breathe and listen to the sound of my own breath. And every time I would bring it back to the breath, knowing it was my life force. And I would say at times, I don't know. Forgive me. I don't know. And put it out in the universe. But I need something. And I guarantee you that will come. But if you don't find and you don't ask, and we don't have answers, but we need to be vulnerable to ourselves. And if we can be vulnerable to ourselves, that's when help arrives. That's when all of a sudden a feeling just changes and you're given something, whatever, it's something, but it's not empty words. When you are seeking for something, you can go here and you can read this and you can listen to that video and watch this one and talk to that one, but that's not where you're going to find it. Where you're going to find it is right here. And because you have a breath, that's the gift of life. And you need to appreciate your own life. And trust me, for me to even say this, I had no appreciation. I just, going from one extreme to another, from doing things that harmed my body to doing things to take care of my body. But I was only able to do that when I realized that I didn't have an answer. When I realized I didn't have an answer and asked and became vulnerable, the answers then showed up.
Okay, less than a minute left in this segment, so I want to ask you a quick question. So do you feel like this has been done by design?
Totally.
To take the hope away from this generation right here?
100%. I have a 26-year-old child. I paid attention. I was room mom, class mom, PTA mom. I danced on the stage with my child. I watched what they are doing. And I own a salon that takes care of elementary, middle school, high school, and college. I've watched what they've been doing to our children. And yes, it is no different if people should go back in history and see how they've corrupted. Look at how Hitler rose. He went after the children. And I'm going to be real honest here. It's no different than what they're doing now. Absolutely. It really isn't.
Absolutely. Victoria, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's always a pleasure. Now, Victoria is going to have I twisted her arm. What's that? She's going to have a regular segment on this show. And I know you're really happy about that. I know I am. Victoria, again, thank you.
And when you put it out there, I would love questions from your audience. I would love to interact with you and with them and try to help them through and over hurdles and undefenses and anything else we can do to get us all together to the finish line.
Absolutely. You can send any questions to Donna at donnasedge.com. Donna at donnasedge.com. Victoria, again, thank you. And thank you so much for watching. We'll be back later with another awesome guest. I'm not so sure it's going to be as good as this one, but we'll be back.